know if this will work this way. Okay, so this is the next victim when I gotta take and I'm gonna do glue together. I can't do that. So I gotta get my hang on a second. I gotta my floor's a mess. Okay, like I posted earlier, this one here, this was a piece of coal wood. See that right here? Well, here's what's going on. Okay, so when I put that in a bowl, it was in a whipped cream bowl, Cool Whip bowl. It actually kind of I like how it turned out, but there's a few goobers in it. And white here, and I have no idea why I did that. And there's a few air pockets. So I'm looking at this going, there's air pockets right here. Well, how do I do this now? So my idea here is to flatten this top out a little bit more. Just getting some of this goobier stuff off of it. Hollow this out a little bit. And try and leave the rest of it the same. Because when you go to take air bubbles out pockets like this, it's very difficult. Hey, how you doing, Maritzas? Hope you're doing some good yarn work. I was watching you not too long ago. It was pretty good. Just explaining. There's air pockets in here. When I go to do this with a really really sharp tool, you'll start chipping out stuff here. So my idea here is just to take and hollow this out just a tad for a or something for a tenon, or well, I should say mortise on this, and finish this out a little bit because I like the way it turned out. It's kind of goofy, but then that wasn't my first one. My first one. So my first one was this one. Believe it or not. I have no idea what happened here. Every time I do one of these, this is what happens. And thanks for subscribing too, by the way. But as you can see, actually, it looks pretty cool if it weren't for this white chalky stuff. Well, here's my remedy for that. I'm just going to polish the bottom up as best I can. And then I'm probably going to take and put some kind of lacquer over the top of it, just to get rid of some of this weird looking stuff. When you're doing wood and accommodation stuff, that'll do it. But today what I'm going to do, here's another one I'm doing. Now we were talking about this earlier. How am I going to do this? The resin goes in there. Well, what do I do with it? Duct tape. I'm going to duct tape the top here. Right now I'm in a process just gluing the corners. And what I'm going to do is let it dry overnight. And then what I'll do, and I thought about this, but I like having a bottom like this. So what I'll probably do is just fill this up to the brim. And let it set overnight. Once I glue this and stuff, and then take it out and turn it. Now, when you turn something like this, you got to remember that you're going to be taking out the center. So I'm not worried about all these lines and stuff on here because that'll go away when I do it. So you just kind of, I'm going with the flow. You know, you guys have seen my other ones that I've done. Well, this is the biggest one. Hang on a second, guys. I gotta blow this off. This is the last. This has actually turned out good, but my mistake was when I put this in. Okay, so I wanted to turn this out. I didn't measure it precise enough. So if I take some of this out, it'll be like this. But then I got to thinking maybe I should take and drill a Forstner hole, take a Forstner bit and drill a hole in here and put it for a candle. And that kind of, I don't want to mess that up. So what I might do is just take a drill bit and do a little bit of a hole here and use it for a candle. What do you guys think? Hey, Snow Crusher, buddy, how you doing? Happy Saturday. Okay, so what I'm doing today is I'm going to do this later because I've got to go. I have a friend of mine that's making a movie. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm in a couple of movies. He's been using the shop. He used my upstairs, my kitchen, and he wanted to use my Mustang today, but it's raining. So, yeah, I'll be in a movie, all right, or my credits. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to slowly do this. Now, I was fooling around and got the angle. It's actually a 45. The corners are 45. And the angle that I cut it at to make the bowl was at 20. See, now the idea is to get this set, let it sit overnight. Tomorrow or the Monday, I'll put in the resin. And I don't know if I'll do it live. It depends on what's going on when I do it. Because I know a lot of you guys work. So, but see, now I don't want to do, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little at a time. Now, this main one here, I don't have to worry about, right? So what I'm going to start out first doing is this one here. It's kind of a jigsaw puzzle, so putting it back together might be a little tricky. You know, I'm not really worried about the inside middle, because what will happen is when I go to auger this middle out, it won't be in the middle. Let's say in the middle. Well, whatever. And now I gotta move it. Alright, so this will be the next one. See, I got 45s on here. Now, it was a little tricky and they're putting them on. All I cared about now is getting it set in there. And I'm not really too picky about how much glue I got, because this will all be gone anyway. The hardest part is getting this all set the way you want it. Evenly, you know. So, yeah, I'm doing something different here. I know it's a little bit raspy here, but again, you're never going to see that. And here's the other thing. You want to make sure that you get these things sitting in here at least below or even with the lid. The one thing that I can tell you, the one problem is, when you go to put glue in this, because what it does is it expands a little bit, it makes it a little bit bigger, so putting it back in is a little bit tougher. So I kind of wait until I adjust the final adjustment when I get them all in. See, the way my head works, I'm sitting here going, this bowl drives me nuts. I've done a lot of stuff. In fact, that yellow one I made out of another bowl. Same size, same kind of identical bowl. I had to break that one though. Because I forgot to put this sealer. It was on a bowl when it should pop up. It's called Stoner. And it works really good. But I keep forgetting to do it. Okay, so now I'm doing the final phase of trying to get everything straight so it don't look too out of whack. Okay, so yeah, see now, one's a little bit higher than the other one, and this one, these two. That's this one. Okay, so you let that set overnight. See, the one thing I can tell you, that Titebond works out great, but it's messier than all get out. Now, this is going to be a a salad bowl. The one thing I'm missing is a piece of wood here that goes on. It actually goes on the bottom. What I do is I don't stick that in. I do these in sections. So I'll do a third, a third, a third. Reason is you get too many of these stuck together that wants to move around on you. So, and you'll move, when you go to clamp it down, they won't be straight. So what I usually do is I go to about here. Do this. It's a little bit easier to manage, Now I used to have a jig where you put it in the jig. Wait a minute, maybe I do. Hang on a second. Something like this. And you put it in a jig and you make sure it doesn't move. Now, what was this for? Hey, that might be working. That might work. Oh, I know what that was for with the tables. Let me see something here. Yeah, it may not do. It might not work there. Okay, so jig number one I made. Now this used to be from this table over here. So when I was putting this table together, that's what I used for a jig. But it's much bigger. So it's about 18 inches wide. And when I used to do the clamps, I used to clamp them on the sides. And one thing I did wrong here, this is where I'm still talking jigs, is you should have just pegs. This should be cut in the middle. That should be, or one of these should be cut in the middle. And then what you do is you can put your clamps in the middle. There should be 3 sets of clamps, one here and one on either end. That makes it even. And what I usually do is I flip-flop them. I'll take one set of bigger clamps and put them laid on top and glue it. And then what I'll do is it'll sit on top of a metal rod. And it'll be much, much easier to keep straight. That's the big thing. Otherwise, they go like this. So, I'm just going to do it this way for right now. The one thing you want to avoid the most of is air pockets in here. Sometimes the wood can be funny. Now, I'm not really perfect with the wood. As you can see, it's a little rough on the outside of one edge, but this edge here is the outside edge. And then you pick your wood according to what? Where you want a placement. Placement's a big deal too, especially if you're trying to get a little bit of a color scheme or something like your grain of your wood. Okay, so the other thing is too, when you mix hardwoods with softwoods, sometimes the hardwoods tend to bleed. I mean, over the softwoods. So if you got some light over dark, it doesn't. Sometimes it'll take and make it look like it's rusted color or something like this wood here. Um, so we'll see how this looks. No, I could use gloves if I wanted to. I'm not worried about it because it's gonna get messy here in a minute anyway. So the idea is just put a ton of this stuff on. You can always wipe it off, right? Like that. I got one more I want to put on here. Excuse me, I got some ideas for my next project in cutoffs. Now, do you ever see the guys when they do the checkerboard type thing or the chicario, or what do you call it, the butcher block stuff? All right, that what you do, the butcher block. Now, it takes time to size up all this stuff. You cut it and you glue it and you let it set. Okay, so now you want to change something. If you wanted to get exotic, you could go this way now, and you basically would cut it. Now the idea is with this many cuts, I expand. I can't make this bowl any more than 11 and a half inches wide, square, because my lathe is not as big as some of the other guys. So, but see, now I've done that, right? Because it's small enough, I can use these. See, the problem with doing segmenting is it takes you a long time. It's a lot of cutting, and then you have to make sure that your wood is square when you go to line everything up. What I usually do is I have one side I go off of. And then, see, it wants to move on you. That's the only problem. Okay, so that's why I only do a little bit at a time. Trying to get the corners matched up so I can squeeze this thing in there. Oh, come on. Okay, so that's pretty good right like that. So if you've got a little off this way, as far as length, you're okay. I always tend to leave them like a half an inch to an inch lengthwise, a little bit longer, because I know, I'm gonna have to square it off on the miter saw or the table saw. Now, as you can see, it is messy, right? But you see how I squeezed all this stuff out. The key, okay, and the other thing is too, when I go to use this, now the outside corners, this will be the outside corners. What I'll do is I'll mark it going this way. All right. So this is a corner. This is a corner. They're going to be taking probably that much off for corners on either side. So there's two things you got to remember. If you've got a crappy piece of wood, put it on the outside, especially if it's close to the corner, because it'll cut it off and won't interfere. Placement of the wood, too, on the corners makes a difference. The other thing is, too, wood grain. If you've got some really nice wood grain, stick it here. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this setup like I'm doing here. This one I'm doing this way. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll just shorten it. So I've got 12 inches lengthwise. But what I'll do is I usually go down to, let's see, maybe 11 inches or 10 and a half inches. And then I'll take wood like this, and I'll go like this. So you got all the ends crossed. No, when you do a bowl like that, it kind of looks cool. You don't have the cut ends going out, but when you do the bowl like this, everything inside really looks nice, and then the outside, if you place the wood, if you got the right kind of grained wood in there, it looks awesome. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The only thing I can tell you is that make sure that absolutely that you get as much glue on your seams as possible, because if you turn this thing, don't have it, it'll air pocket it, it could cause the thing to fly off. Okay, so now I gotta wipe the glue off. Just a little bit, and I don't want too much glue. Sometimes I get overexcited. I gotta put too much glue. No. Okay, so that's pretty flat here. That's what I want. One side to be flat, all right? So okay, so that's one side now. I want to do this where's my pencil? My pencil. Okay, so I'm going to mark this. Those two go together. I'll do the marking on it somewhere else. But now I'm going to put this. Actually, I'm going to put that right there. Let it sit overnight. Now I've got a sheet of plastic over here in the corner. All right, I want to do. I'm gonna do. There's a plastic over there in the corner there between. What I'm gonna do is take that plastic and make a jig for something like that, because that plastic, the what do you call it? It's easier to work with when it's like that. Yeah, the other thing is you gotta clean the crap out of your caps, because there's glue. Anyway, I'm gonna let that set, and I'm gonna go because I gotta go to I have to get going to a filming. So you guys take care, and I'll talk to you. I'll show you what I'm gonna do with that other piece tomorrow or Monday. Either I'll film it or I'll put it on live, but we'll see how that works. Otherwise, you guys have a great Saturday.